It's Thursday and it's my favorite day of the week. It's time for Teenage Mutant Ninja Thursdays. Today we're going to be talking our top 10 favorite villains. We're just going to have some fun. I'm joined once again with Andrew Fantasia from the Andrew Fantasia / Rebel Scum Podcast YouTube channel. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, what's going on? I feel turtle-tacular. Is that a word yet?
Sure. Why not?
Yes.
Why not? Hey,
okay,
question. Good. If you could bring any character from Ninja Turtles to the big screen in live action form, that has not been, you don't even know I'm asking you this, has not been in a live action film before, who would you take with you?
Let's go with Leatherhead.
Leatherhead. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll go Yojimbo, Usagi Yojimbo, or Ace Duck. A Genghis Frog is a close third.
Ace Duck needs his own movie.
Ace
There's
Duck
too much
is a
lore
movie.
there.
He is a movie. Ace Duck or Bucky O'Hare? Yeah, well, that's another topic for another day. We got our top 10 favorite villains. We're just going to go through a list of our favorite. I have 10. Andrew has 10. Some of them are similar, are the exact same. Some of them are, I disagree with him wholeheartedly on his list. He disagrees with me wholeheartedly on our list. And Toka and Razor did not make the list.
Neither of our lists?
No.
Wow.
They
Too bad,
were at
guys.
one point 10, but then I forgot about somebody, so I had to change them. But yeah, so honorable mention, Toka, Razor. Sorry, guys. Maybe next time. I mean, they're babies!
Yeah, they are. They're essentially Muppet babies.
They, totally down for that. Muppet Babies is back, actually. I don't know when it's on or anything, but I saw a commercial for it while over Easter with my nephew. So there you go. All right, Andrew, give me...
The show isn't back right now.
True story. All right, Andrew, give me your number 10 favorite Ninja Turtle villain.
My number 10 is Tatsu from the first movie. He's just I love the idea of this really serious ninja master who hangs around with children all day, and they bump into him, and he's just like, "Go, play." I mean, what more could you ask for in a?
I love Tatsu. My number 10 is Slash.
Ooh,
Yeah, his origins vary.
X.
Sometimes a pet turtle and sometimes a lab experiment of Baxter Stockman's lab. Slash was actually created by Peter Laird. In the 80s, he was Rocksteady's pet, and in 2012 was Raph's pet. His name was Spike, and he kept hearing Raphael complain about the other turtles and whatnot, and then he got mutated and decided that he wanted to kill the rest of the turtles, and Raphael called him a freak! And because of that, he got humiliated and ran away. That's my number 10. Also, he looks awesome. That's all. So my number 10 is, he's kind of, yeah. Anyway, that's my number 10 is Slash. Andrew, number 9.
Number 9 is the Rat King from the 80s cartoon.
That is also my number 9.
Oh, well done. He just had this weirdness to him where, sometimes he was a freak who lived in a sewer and talked to rats, but other times you could see there was like a normal guy in there who was like, yeah, I'll have a slice of that pizza that's in front of me. He was such an odd dude, and that made him a lot of fun.
And every single time, he's only in one of the original comics. He died right away. And he has died pretty much in every other time he's been brought up. He's been killed off. He cannot stay alive. So number 9 for both of us is a Rat King. Who is your number 8?
My number 8 is Leatherhead.
That is also my number 8.
Oh my God, we're twins. I went with the 80s cartoon version because the one from the 2003 show is actually like a really nice guy. He's a good dude. But I've always liked the idea of superheroes having a villain who's basically like a jacked evil version of them, like Venom to Spider-Man. Leatherhead is kind of like that. He's just this giant amphibian. He's kind of like a turtle, but he's bigger and he's meaner.
Yeah, and he's been around since I think, number 6 of the original run of the Turtles comic. And most recently, though, he has been super, super intelligent. In the 80s, he was big and dumb. But in this one, he is nice and smart. He rivals Donatello in intelligence. But he's usually lately, like, they've been making him, like you said, back then he was like a friend of the Turtles. They're making him a friend a lot, but he does get brainwashed a lot and tricked into hating, despising, wanting to torture and kill the Turtles. So number 8 is Leatherhead. Number 7, I'll go first because you've already mentioned him, is Tatsu. He's Shredder's right-hand man, only appearing in the first 2 movies. I love the way he sounds. That's not the actor's voice doing the audio either. That is the best, but go play is very good. He basically takes the role of Karai in this one. He trains the Foot Clan for Shredder, and he's not afraid to get his hands dirty when he's out in the field either. So my number 7 is Tatsu. Andrew, you're number 7.
My number 7 is Alopex from the IDW comics. She's an Arctic fox, and she's really cool because she's got kind of like this domino mask. She's like this burglar or whatever, but she's also really well trained in ninjutsu because she fights Splinter at one point. And I'm not too far into that comic. I'm only like 13 issues in, but she's appeared quite a bit, and she's tight with Shredder, so I want to see where this goes with her.
And that is your number 7 is Alopex. Your number 6.
My number 6, this might be kind of a cheat, but the entire Triceratops Empire.
It's not a cheat. They almost made my list.
They're just hilarious. I love the way they're... First, Triceratops is my favorite dinosaur, so there's a point right there. And I just love the way they're depicted in the 2003 cartoon because there's so much infighting among them. You know, some of them, they want to take over the world, and some of them are just like, I just want to go relax somewhere on a beach. And their supreme leader is this big whiny crybaby. They're just so much fun.
Yeah, they almost made my list, but they did not. So your number 6 is the Triceratops. Mine is Karai. Shredder's second in command in the original comics. She came back after Shredder was killed to reassemble the Foot Clan and take over and want to destroy everybody. And lately, though, she has been Shredder's adopted child. She was in Turtles Out of the Shadows, and she is in a TMNT movie from 2000, and when did that one come out? 3? 7? When did that movie?
I think 7.
How old am I? That is a long time. Either way, it's a long time. I'm like, I always feel like it was 2 years ago. I'm like,
I know.
I remember seeing that commercial for the first time. So my number 6 is Karai. It is Karai is my number 6. Your number 5.
My number 5 is Signor Don Turtelli from the 80s cartoon. This guy just... I'm so happy he exists. First of all, he's a very 80s Italian gangster.
Yes.
Because of the world that they throw him in, that very 80s New York, he's so steeped in that time period. And then his whole thing is he tickles people to torture them, and it's played with such seriousness. Every time he comes on, it's just fantastic.
I just love that he's this high on your list. He's number 5 on your list. Don Turtelli, number 5. My number 5, Krang. Whatever, changes from story to story, but in the 80s, he was a brain-looking creature with a funny voice who argued with Shredder. He had a sick robot body, and this was brought into Turtles Out of the Shadows, which everyone knows is my guilty pleasure movie of all time. The 2012 show had an entire race of aliens called the Krang, who was led by Kang Prime. Kang Prime. Ugh. Tongue twister. I just love his voice. If you watch the Turtle, it was a Turtle-powered documentary. They give you a nice explanation on the voice. And what's his name? Brad Garrett is actually friends with him, the original voice of Krang from the 80s. They're actually good friends. And so it's kind of cool. It was supposed to be Fred Armisen's voice in Out of the Shadows, but I think it was scheduling conflicts or whatever. He had to leave, and Brad Garrett was brought in at like the 0 hour. Number 4 is coming up. Andrew, who is your number 4?
My number 4 is Han, the big man behind the purple dragons. I just love this dude because he breaks the mold, of cartoons. He takes that idea of the supervillain has a really stupid henchman, and they're like, no. The supervillain's got a really, really smart henchman who also happens to be really, really strong. He's just like a winning combo. And you don't see villains like that too often. So Han always, like, whenever he shows up, I'm like, damn, this is a threat. This is a big deal.
Yeah, Han's pretty awesome. He's your number 4. My number 4 is the scientist, the greatest scientist to ever live, Baxter Stockman. He was a one-time fly. Let's not forget, he did get turned into a fly when he was a white guy. Baxter can be seen in the background of the very first Michael Bay movie. If you look hard, you can see somebody in there that they claim is Baxter Stockman. But of course, it doesn't matter because they recast him in Out of the Shadows with scene stealer Tyler Perry, who has my favorite laugh in a movie of all time. It's just so good. Comic-Con. It's one of my favorite moments of all time. In there, first encounter with the Turtles, of course, came when the Mousers went to go chase after and destroy Splinter, and the Turtles had to defend it all. I love Mousers as well. Got to bring that one up. So my number 4 is the one and only Baxter Stockman. Moving on to number 3. Your number 3, I'm looking at the list right now that you sent me, is our next 2 are the same, only flip-flopped. So
okay.
My number 3 is Bebop, and your number 3 is
Rocksteady.
And my number 2 is Rocksteady, and your number 2 is
Bebop.
So let's just call this one Bebop and Rocksteady. That's how it should be. For Bebop, look, he's a warthog, he's the muscle, and he used to be a human. He's also dumb AF. What do you want to say about Bebop?
What's great about him is even his human form makes me laugh. The fact that a dude walks around looking like that unironically, and he's like, yeah, I'm a tough guy. Look at me. Look at my purple shades and my mohawk. And then getting turned into a warthog is just the icing on the cake. And, oh, my God, he's great.
Unbelievable. And your number 3, Rocksteady. He's a rhino. He's the muscle. And he also used to be human. And he, too, is dumb AF.
Mm-hmm. And, again, going back to the Triceratops, a rhinoceros is my favorite animal. So, like, all my favorite parts of the animal kingdom just keep being represented. And he's like, the two of them are like Abbott and Costello. They just have that great sort of like, oh no, it's the titles. Like, what's not to love about them?
Sure, boss. I love them. We still don't know if they're going to make an appearance in Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but time will tell. Either way, they are so steeped in the lore of the Turtles that they will never go away for good. We finally, after over 30 years, just got them in a movie. So
it's about time.
Yeah. Well, they weren't allowed to be in Secret of the Ooze for, because Eastman and Laird didn't want them there. So anyway, we're going to number 1. Our number 1 is somewhat similar. But why don't you go first on your number 1?
My number 1 is the tag team combination of Shredder and Krang. And I know it's probably cheating, but the reason I did that was because separate, they're cool. But when they're together in that original cartoon, they are like, I've never seen a cartoon with a villain that was essentially a married couple that bickered all the time the way they did. And every scene with them in it, their back and forth, their hatred for each other, the pot shots they would take. I want to destroy the turtles, Krang. No, shut up. I'm destroying them today. I could watch nothing but that and be happy.
There you go. And my number 1 is the Shredder. Oroku Saki himself. Eastman and Laird had never intended on the Shredder to be a supervillain of importance, but here he is, 34 years after his creation, and we are still talking about him. He is the Turtles' number 1 nemesis in shows, movies, and not always in the comics. His backstory being tied to Splinter is incredibly intriguing and fascinating for a property about mutated creatures, and that's the one thing I always said that first Bay-produced Turtles film got completely wrong, was Splinter and Shredder's relationship. When they fight in the sewer, there's no weight to it, and it's almost like I could care less because these two creatures really don't know each other whatsoever, especially when they retcon in their own movie who Shredder was. Like, if Shredder happened to be Eric Sachs, who isn't on either one of our lists, if he happened to be Eric Sachs, then there might be a little bit of that to it, but there isn't. And this is what we have. It's just a meaningless, weightless battle between a master and a robot, basically. That's it. But
exactly.
Shredder is number 1 on my list because, obviously, Shredder is number 1 on my list. We should do, like, top 10 non-Shredder lists, of course. But they're there. I'd like to see somebody's list who doesn't have Shredder. Let us know, guys, in the comments below who your favorite. You don't have to do all 10 if you don't want, but you can if you want also. But your favorite Turtles villains, top 5, top 10, whatever it is. Let us know if you think our list sucks. I thought Andrew's was terrible.
It was. I phoned it in.
That's why you Skyped it in, technically. This was a lot of fun. We'll have to do this more with, like, I think we will do, like, supporting characters soon. But no April O'Neil, no Casey Jones. Like, the supporting is what I would like to see going forward. But that's all we have this week for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was a lot of fun. Can't wait to see this new series that's coming. Andrew, let us know where we can find you on the interwebs.
You can find me on my channel, Andrew Fantasia, talking about movies and entertainment, and on Rebel Scum Podcast, talking about Star Wars with James and Brock and Rob and Aaron. And also, you can find me in the Technodrome arguing with Krang.
And yes, he does review movies. Most of his answers are, I like this movie. It was good.
I like it. It was good.
It was a good movie.
Yeah.
It was, you know, my biggest problem was
Why am I Barney Rubble?
hey, Fred. That's what you do. All right, guys, if you like Ninja Turtles, if you liked what you saw, give us a like, give us a subscribe, because we do Teenage Mutant Ninja Thursdays every Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Digital Charcuterie. And until next time, cowabunga.